Welcome to this episode of Sunny Silver Linings. Sunny's guest today is Ronnie March. Ronnie is the CHRO of our very own IT by Design. Ronnie excels in her ability to diagnose organizational effectiveness opportunities and to distill her world-class experience, insight, and techniques into practical, impactful, and cost-effective solutions that leave the business and its people better for the experience. And now, your host, the founder and CEO of IT by Design, Mr. Sunny Kaila. Over to you, Sunny.
Ronnie, thank you so much for joining me today on my podcast, my special guest today.
Well, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here, Sunny.
You always talk about creating success together. Always. And I want to talk about that. What does it mean? What does it mean in terms of creating success together?
Creating success is my tagline, and it is something that I'm very passionate about. And what I mean by creating success together is when you are looking to sell a product, buy a product, build a new business, drive a strategy, who are all of the individuals that will be impacted by this initiative? And how can you map out those individuals to understand how we can create success together with each and every individual to drive that to the greatest success possible? If you think upfront of how do I create success together and plan that creation together, then you will have the ultimate success.
Yes. And so when you talk about creating success together culture and its connection with business outcomes. So can you talk to us a little bit about, how can that help a business, especially a small business, win, and connection between the culture that you're talking about and the business success?
So creating success together is about creating that inclusive culture. And creating those inclusive cultures are a phenomenon today, especially when everyone is disparate in their homes and we're trying to create a culture through a video lens. So it becomes very difficult. So what is a simple thing and remains consistent is our voice. You can hear our voice, whether you see our face or not. You can hear our voice if we're in the room with you, if we're on a video, if we're on a telephone. The voice is the key to creating success together and making people feel they are included in decisions in what you're trying to do. So it's about mapping out how we can drive greater success by including all of those stakeholders. So in a company culture will drive greater employee engagement because you are focusing on creating that success with your employees. It will also drive greater customer loyalty because you're asking for their voices in how do we create that success together. It's not about, I have a product I'm trying to sell, or I have a program I want the employees to be involved in. It's about, I like your voice. I have this opportunity. What are your thoughts? How do you see it working? What would be things that you could see we could do differently? And, would you like to test that for me? I'd really love your feedback. So now people are invested in saying, my voice is valued in the process. And so therefore, I want to be a part of it versus having something voluntold. And now I'm doing it because I've been asked to do it.
Yeah.
Instead of they're volunteering to say, I want to be included.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what I'm hearing, Ronnie, is that especially in the world that we live in during pandemic with people working from home, and first of all, voice of your team members, voice of employee, the voice of your team matters. And it's so critical for us to know where their head is and what are they thinking, what are they feeling. And especially in this work from home environment, it's more challenging to really get to that voice where we know exactly what's going on in their world. So, and then you also talked about, why it matters is more of, that feeds employee retention and engagement, and then it impacts that customer experience and customer engagement as well. So let's stay with the employee engagement piece, because your customer experience is never going to be greater than your employee experience. So
very true.
Let's talk about employee experience, employee engagement, first of all. So can you talk to us a few strategies a small business can apply? So now you have our MSP partners, they are like, 40, 50 people companies on an average, and sometimes smaller, like 20 people MSPs. And now their techs and their other team members are working from home. So what are a few things that you suggest that they do to hear their voice and engage them in a meaningful ways?
Great. I have a couple of suggestions. Let's start off with a few. So, number one, it would be first is getting their voice. So, if you haven't set up regular town halls so you can ensure that employees know what's happening in the company, I would strongly suggest organizations do that. It's the most important thing is that employees know when we're going, where we're going, when we are going, how we're doing it, and how do they play a part in that. Mm-hmm. And then secondarily is setting up sessions where I've had previous CEOs set up a session every Friday. They have 90 minutes of 20-minute sessions each that employees can book on on the employee schedule to just have a conversation of, I'd like to get to know you better, or I have some ideas for the company that I think you might want to know about, and building those relationships. And it's about saying to employees, the most important value from you is your voice and your insights into the organization. So I'm going to make that time to hear what you have to say. And so employees have that ability to do that. Those are simple suggestions. Another suggestion is you want to create innovation in your organization. So we've had organizations where, and it's a great opportunity, where they created a King of Kaizen, who Kaizen is a way of creating small changes on an incremental basis to improve your outcome. And so the King of Kaizen, who had a crown and a cape, who would drive employees to bring in their ideas. It could be as simple as, I think we could put a different calculation into an Excel spreadsheet, or here's a whole new product I want to sell. There are no ideas too small to be considered. And having that on a regular basis, have competitions around who can create these great ideas, and going back to the employees and saying, you spoke. We listened. We are driving this business now based on the information you give us, because you're the experts in our business and how we can drive that. And then what I think is equally important then is when you are having meetings with one-on-ones with your employees, and lots of companies do performance reviews, and I'm a big champion on performance forward. It's not about your past performance, but it's about what you can do to help drive the business and your performance forward. And so I like to call that success coaching, and how to create a coaching environment with your employees. So you are coaching them for success, much like a coach on a team, a baseball team or a soccer team or a hockey team are doing, is you're going to coach them for how they can improve their performance and how that ultimately impacts the business. And these coaching sessions are very short but powerful of, what's working? What should I do different? What should I continue with? What are the next priorities that I need to accomplish in the next 30 days? And how can I, as your leader, help you in achieving that success?
Yeah, that's awesome.
So there's a few examples. There's many more.
Yeah,
but those are a few that can really help any size of business.
Yeah, no, those are great examples and great suggestions. So what I'm hearing there is that, first of all, having some kind of cadence, some kind of, calendaring that, and really creating time windows in your calendar to make sure you're intentional about investing that time to listen to your people. And then once you listen, then you have to make sure that people trust you, that you're going to listen to them. And if there is something that needs to change, you are following up and following through, and you take that and you kind of implement the change that is required, and then giving them like regular updates where that business change, anything that's happening on the business side, because of that voice, they feel that their voice mattered and they made a difference. And that normally comes from execution of actionable items coming from that voice of your team, voice of employee conversations. And one thing, Ronnie, that I see that, so we are coming up with our product, Team GPS, as you know, and it's a great tool to measure your culture engagement, how your people feel, right? And so taking that system, which is going to give you some leverage, and on top of that, you have this voice of employee conversations, and now you have the data, you have information that you need. Now, so leaders, where they need to do their part to make sure that their voice is heard and actionable items are driven. And one challenge that I see, especially in the tech companies, Ronnie, that especially I've been an MSP, and we have still that MSP in New York City. When we were a small MSP of 10, 15 people company, the biggest biggest challenge was that it's more of a tech solution centric, not people centric, because you're a small business, everyone is wearing different hats and everyone is trying to do so many different things. You are the marketer, you are the accounting, you are everything else. And it's a challenge. And when I go back and think of things from our partners' perspective, if there is a small business of 15, 20 people company, they don't have all the departments covered with the C-level people. The biggest challenge that they face is that, okay, what do they do in terms of finding that time along with everything else? So normally what I hear is that, Sunny, the challenge is a great advice. The challenge is I have so many other conflicting priorities. I have business to run. I have this to do. So how can one, as a small business, do what they have to do along with being intentional about investing time into your people? And like sometimes it's just more of also priorities from the perspective of, okay, what do you see and the value that you see? And sometimes there's connection to understand as well. So what's your advice to that small business owner or managers in small business where normally what you hear from them is, I don't have time for this?
Right. And, my first reaction to that is, this is the one thing you want to make time for, because the war for talent is real. You hear it, that tech people are being recruited and recruited and recruited away, and they're being hired and they're recruited out again within 3 months. And the cost to replace a full-time employee can cost you upwards of the annual salary of that employee on a regular basis. And the drain on all of your other employees continues to exacerbate that. And so the suggestion is that find the time, and it doesn't need to be exorbitant amounts of times. I look at coaching sessions as 15-minute coaching sessions once a month. I can do a success coaching session in 15 minutes with each person, and they feel that they are connected. And as a leader, you should have, no more than 10 direct reports at 15 minutes. So once a month. So you're driving it. And then collectively looking at how can we collectively get a voice of employees. So maybe there's a employee suggestion ideas. We're looking for innovation and we have a suggestion. And once a month, you pull out all your suggestions and you go through and thank everybody and give them accolades and show where those innovations are so great. And then show the one or two that you've decided to implement. Yeah. And so, but it starts with small steps of moving forward. It's not a big bang of now we're doing all of this, but you slowly increase. And when people start to feel that they are valued, that is the key for retention. I am valued, I am respected, and somebody wants my voice in driving this business. Yeah. We can all go work for Google and Microsoft and get free lunches and play ping pong all day and lay on a couch with our computers. We can all go do that. But can we actually get our voice valued by the CEO of an organization? That's the difference in a small organization, is that the CEO can lend their ear and generously listen to what the employees have to say and use that to move the business forward. So it's tough to make the time, but think about it as small incremental spots of 15 minutes that will get you that voice, and you will create success together with that voice. And when people start hearing about creating success together and I want your voices heard, their voices start coming through fast and furious. They want to meet with their managers. They want to make sure they're bringing ideas to you. They want avenues to get those suggestions to you. So create those inboxes where employees can send suggestions and move from there.
Yeah. No, yeah. So what I'm hearing as a small business owner, if I'm a small business owner, that I have a choice to make. Either I'm intentional about those incremental changes, protecting some time that's 15 minutes in my calendar to hear that voice. And when people feel heard, people feel valued, what you said, okay, when people feel valued, your retention will go up, their overall productivity goes up. That is at the bottom line. I mean, that adds to the bottom line because the cost of hiring goes down and your time investment, Ronnie. So either I am keep investing my time in interviewing and finding those people, replacements where I need to find replacements because of that voice not being heard is leaving me, and investing time on the hiring side, or I can be proactive and take that time intentionally at the upfront and invest that time to make people feel heard, where retention goes up and the cost of hiring goes down. And that helps the customer side as well. But the time I have to invest in leadership, in people, either I do that proactively to hear their voice, or I am keep being reactive and keep spending that time on interviews to replace. I have to spend that time. I have a choice to make: hiring time or retaining time. Where do I need to invest? The time investment is going to be probably less to hear that voice rather than keep making those replacements made, and probably hiring mistakes are up as well, because with new hires, you don't know what you don't know until you work with the people for a few months. So there is just so much. So there's a lot more ROI than sometimes we think as entrepreneurs, as small business owners, in investing in people at the, to really have that culture strong. So you also talk about the connection with your P&L, connection with your bottom line, connection with your customer retention and customer experience. So can you give us a little bit more? Can you elaborate on that? The creating success together culture impacting customer retention, customer engagement.
Great. Yes. Well, I'm going to spin off of what you've said there, Sunny. The retention of a consistent workforce.
Yeah.
And that consistent workforce that knows your customer and knows your products and knows your organization are only going to be able to provide exemplary customer service and exemplary knowledge of your customers because they've had that consistent tenure with your organization and they have that knowledge, which new hires will not. So if you can consistently maintain your employees to drive that and you have the voice, then it's about, okay, so I've created success with my employees. I now have I'm retaining my employees. They're all invested. They're bringing me great innovative ideas. We're driving their performance, which is ultimately driving our business performance. How can I create success together now with my customers? And so it's about approaching it with, what can I do to help my customers be more successful? Because if my customers are more successful, they will need more of me so that I can help them be more successful. And so it's looking at, here's an example. I had an organization where we were winning global awards on customer satisfaction surveys. We were winning awards globally on our customer service. And from that customer service, we had built this award-winning platform of training all of our employees. So as an HR leader, I went to the business and said, you know what? I think we need to create success together with our customers. I would like to offer that we provide new hire training for their customer service reps at our customers. And so that they can learn how to give world-class service, and we'll do that for free. And we're giving that to our customers to help them be successful. And when that new hire comes to us, we will have our executives have breakfast with them. We will then have go through the training for the morning. We'll then have our customer service reps meet with them and go through their CRM interview of getting to know those new hires really well, et cetera. And then they finish their course for the day and they go back to their job. That new hire is now very invested in us as an organization because we've invested in their career. We don't even know them. We've invested in their career and their success and their performance. That company is now saying, wow, our people are now doing all this customer service and we've invested in them for no cost. So the goal of any new business this customer wants or any increased ask they have is we're now going to be their first call because we have built that relationship because we put their success as a priority as a business, not just what we're selling. We wanted them to be successful because it's all about a whole successful paradigm of your employees, your customers, your vendors, and how do we all create success together? And by doing that and not leaving it on one company to be successful and that we're all connected is where we create that connection and success paradigm.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing that. Employee success or creating success together on the culture side there's a direct relation with creating success with the customer. And at the end of the day, Ronnie, what you mentioned earlier is that that connection helps you expand your kind of value creation with the customer. And you are successful if people see you as a valuable partner. And so, with your example of helping on the customer training side or so the trainings or the new hires coming from that awards example that you have given. So you are helping the customer going above and beyond with what you have. And especially your engaged people, when they have that smile on their face, and that's the only way for them to put that smile on the customer face. And as an organization, when you have that success internally, then you can share that success with your customers. And sharing that success with the customers adds more value to the customer that brings that loyalty that you mentioned earlier, the customer loyalty, and that leads to customer retention. And customer retention reduces your cost to acquire a customer. Either you are retaining your customers, growing your customers, and you don't need to invest too much in your sales and marketing to bring in new logos, because bringing in new logos cost you at least 10x more than bringing business from your existing customers. And the customer retention is key to building a sustainable business and building a word of mouth business, because a referral-based business can only come from your customer loyalty. And that is so key. So coming back to our creating success together culture, and you see how valuable it is for the business and for the P&L of the business, cash flow of the business, balance sheet of the business, and our focus, our mindset. So rather than being tech-centric, if we can be people, culture-centric technology companies, our business will definitely win as a byproduct. And thank you so much for sharing those incredible insights. Do you have anything else to add to this conversation?
Well, one more thing, because the war for talent is so key, and gone through this recently with helping companies move forward with their talent acquisition. Always remember to treat people with kindness and grace and a red carpet style on your way into the company, but also on your way out. And so employees that may not be at the level we need for their skill, or their performance may not necessarily be there, et cetera. As small organizations, we only hire the best talent. So they may be fantastic talent, but not great for what we need right now. So when talent are exiting your organization, make sure you create those relationships and help them create success in their next career move, because they may want to come back to you one day, or they may have relatives or friends that could work for us one day. And you want to be able to go to them and say, I have all these jobs open. If you know anybody, please let me know. And so it's all about ensuring that we're taking care of people that have been a part of our communities, and that, just because they're no longer with our organization doesn't mean we're not still trying to create success with them and building those relationships, because talent is key, and getting talent is very difficult, especially with the war for talent that's out there right now. And so ensuring that we are always looking at our brand when we are hiring people and exiting people, so that we are always being seen as a destination employer.
Yeah, that's awesome. So entry to exit experience, and special attention to entry and exit, red carpet during the entry, red carpet during the exit will really, really help organizations to really be successful. And especially, Ronnie, when you mention red carpet out, and at ITBD, what comes to my mind is that ITBD alumni community that we build. And the whole purpose there is that if someone sees grass is greener on the other side, and they want to explore the world, but we stay as a part of our alumni community because we have given them red carpet treatment. We focused on their feeling, how they felt during exit, and they are part of our alumni. And after exploring the world, getting more experience, they will always remember us. And if they want to come back, that's their connection with us, because we treated them right during exit. And and other value there is that referrals, and who do they know that they can refer to ITBD. That is so powerful. That's so awesome. And building that talent community at exit will come from your red carpet advice, and then staying connected with that alumni community is so powerful. And thank you so much for sharing your experiences with us today.
Well, thank you for creating success with me today. I appreciate it, Sunny. It's been an absolute honor.
Thank you. Thank you.